Tim, for you, as the person that played a role as a discipler, what was your mentality and how did you spot Riley out of all the students? And like, what are your thoughts on that and how you guys began?
Yeah, so Riley, like he said, was coming to our life group where me and Tony would host it. We would host the life group of middle school boys at Tony's house once a week. I don't remember what weeknight it was, but and he would come and I talked to his dad like once or twice, and like I knew who he was. I didn't really like talk to him that much, but I remember it was one summer and it was at in the student ministry. We went and did lake day, which like we went out to like a lake and there was like a beach there and they had a jet ski and they were like pulling people around on a jet ski on a raft. What a fancy day. And they had like there's like a little like canopy and they did like worship there, like they just acoustic worship, and it was really cool. And it was one of the interns for that summer who was at Journey. She gave a message about like iron, the verse "Iron sharpens iron." I think that's Proverbs.
Well, she brought a sword.
Maybe
yeah,
I don't know.
Did she really?
Yeah.
And there was an actual sword there. Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure it was Pastor Christian's sword.
Yeah.
Are we talking like medieval knight sword or like
it was like
sword?
It was like 4 feet long.
Yeah, it was.
It was massive.
That's like most of Riley. Huh?
Yeah.
And
no,
just talking.
That's like 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tall 14-year-old.
He is. He's like my height, guys.
His dad's taller than me,
5'8".
and I'm 6'4", so
it's so crazy.
So he's gonna be a tall little boy, tall big boy. But yeah, she was giving a message, and it was like about the iron sharpens iron, and about community. And I knew a little bit about Riley. He had just started coming to Journey. He didn't really know anybody. He had just moved from Georgia down here to Florida, and I was like, I guess it was just the Holy Spirit working in me, because it was like God telling me like this. It wasn't so much as like I need to disciple this kid. It was just like I saw Riley and I was like, he needs a friend. That's all. Like that was the basis behind everything. That was like how it all started, because I think I was like sitting next to you during that sermon.
You were right next to me, because I was just hanging out with my sister the whole time. I didn't know anybody. I was like, oh, Layla.
Exactly, yeah.
And every time she talked to somebody, I would talk to them. So
yeah, he would just. I remember, student ministry. He would
so
always
I'm
hang out
shy.
with his
I just hang out with my sister or my mom. Like I don't really know anybody.
Exactly.
So, like,
So I was like, he needs a friend. So that was, it was at student ministry, which they do on Sunday nights. And so the following day, I had already had his phone number or maybe I got his phone number that night. I'm not sure, but I texted him and was like, hey, you want to go out to dinner and hang out? And then so he was like, I don't know, I have to ask my parents. And so he asked his dad, and then his dad like freaked out because his dad didn't know me and he thought I was like trying to kidnap his son. And
yeah, exactly. He's
do you remember that?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I want you back at this certain time. He's like, if you're not back, I'm calling the cops. I'm like, oh.
And then
I was like, dude, we gotta be here at this time. And he's like, okay.
And his dad was like no, like you. I was, because he was like, oh, I can't go because my parents aren't home. And I was like, I can come pick you up. I got a car. And then his dad was like freaking out, like, no, I'm not letting my son go with you. Like, I'll see if I can get him there, blah, blah, blah. And then his dad called me back like 5 minutes later and was like, okay, you can go get him. Changed his mind or something.
Because he has to like have a full on talk. He's like, do I want to do this? He's from church, but like we just started going here. He's like, because at the time they weren't going, so like they're like, oh, listen, we're not gonna make the home. I was like, guys, this church is amazing. I want to keep on going. They're like, okay, maybe we'll start going to Sunday nights. And then I want to say a month later, after I went to students, I think they came one service. They're like, oh, this is nice. They're like, it's like our old church in what is it called, Georgia, Atlanta. And they're like, oh, this church is like just our old church. It was 12 Stone, Snellville. And they're like, it was the exact same, but like it's just a little bit smaller because 12 Stone's huge. And it's like, wow, okay, they liked it. So they're like, oh, let's start going here a little bit more. And we just kept going every week. And then as soon as COVID hit, they're like, we'll just watch it online. So they were watching online, still getting like the word in, but like they were like not going. So
yeah.
Oh, so when you guys started coming back once COVID ended, that was after just watching everything online for a while
Yeah.
and then coming in,
Yeah.
and that was pre you guys meeting at that event.
So yes and no, because like it was a long time. So like it was like I want to say 8 months. So like we were like already really good friends with Tim, and like so we were like we hanged out like I want to say like every week we were going bowling or eating or anything. Like we went bowling. I don't know how many times we can't even keep track.
I spent way too much money on bowling during that few months.
He probably could have bought it like
my gosh,
apartment with that thing. Like,
$100.
I was like, dude, I paid like a couple times too. Like my mom was like, Dad, like take the money. Don't let him pay. And he's like, sometimes he wouldn't let me pay. Sometimes I had to fight him. I had to push him over one time. He's like, let me pay.
I saw that he needed a friend, and so I was hanging out with him all the time, not out of obligation, because I enjoyed spending time with you. That's why. And so I was hanging out at his house all the time. I became very close to him and his sister and his parents. Like I was like
older brother.
I was like almost a part of the family.
Yeah.
For it was a good span of probably 8-9 months. Like
wow, that's a whole baby right there.
Yeah. And so there was at one point where we were hanging out like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
At their house, there was, I went and stayed at their house for 3 days over the weekend with Riley while they went on a trip to help to make sure Riley didn't die and to help take care of the dogs and everything. So
we watched the whole, like almost the whole Marvel.
No, we did not. We didn't. We watched. Like
we made
2.
5. We watched 5.
5.
Yes, it was until Endgame because I have a whole list of.
I was
all
like,
of them.
dude, it was like, oh, we're gonna have a whole weekend together, and they paid me a little bit to do it. So,
like,
but I didn't joke on them. I would have done it for free.
Yeah. Parents are like, oh, you gotta deal with this troublemaker.
But it's like, I was like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun, and we got there, and all this kid wanted to do was just play Fortnite on his Switch all day, every day. And I was like, honestly, I don't blame him because that's what I would have done as a kid. So I just I was just like, okay, and I just chilled and